Okay, so the biggest tip I can give you switching from C to G is to pay attention to what changes. Don't just grab whatever fret that it's supposed to be on and then just move on. So like, what I mean is like, if you're on C, it sounds great, but when you go to G, it sounds more like this. But they're technically in the right spot, right? But there's some funny business going on. Don't just move on. This is what we want to slow and steady, and then adjust. So the main thing that you want to start with is, so once you have your C, make sure you can play your C clear. Don't move on from that. And then you're going to pay attention to what movements need to happen to make G, because you know how to make G on its own, right? If you take your hands off and then set a G, you got it. But the trick is going from C to G, right? Not from still position to G. So what needs to move? How do you need to adjust? Your thumb's already back here. Your fingers are already on certain frets and strings, right? So what needs to move, right? So we actually have to add our pinky, right? So what happens is our index goes to the A, right? And then here's what I mean about not just grabbing wherever, right? A string second fret, right? Try to grab a good section of that, right? Don't just go, that's too buzzy, right? Center to the side a little bit, right? So from there, index goes here, middle finger goes all the way up to the E string. That's what's moving. Basically this of the C, this part of the C is going here, okay? So C, boom, and then these two are falling down, right? To the little E and B. That's another thing too. Sometimes we'll do this. That's wrong. We don't want to hear these two. We want to hear the bottom two. Not G and B, but B and E. Okay, so once you can kind of visualize that and make sure that when you're switching, right, you get the right position. Don't just strum. That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to say is like, okay, don't go and then try to grab it, but strum and then set the chord slowly. Once you're confident in that your fingers are in the right space and right string, right frets, then give it a strum. Beyond that too, you have to also remember that your arm and wrist need to adjust to G, right? You're on C right now. You're gonna need to pivot into G a little bit, right? And the goal is to be able to go boom, boom, but not, right? We're not gonna start off with that right away. We need to start off with boom, 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 boom. Or if you start from the bottom, it doesn't really matter where you start the chord from as long as you're on the right fret, on the right string, and you're also not pressing off to one side, like far to one side, right? So like, for example, a big thing that I've noticed that you guys will do is you guys will pull back too much, right? So you're like on the edge of G. That's not what we want. So this is what I would recommend you start doing. So start with your C, make sure it's clean, right? And then we go, again, if you want to start with your bottom fingers, by all means, or if you want to start with these two fingers, by all means. But I'm going to start with my pinky first. So I go boom, boom, boom. And then here's the thing. I don't stay here. I scoot it up. That's very important to note. So I go boom. I don't stay here. This is the thing. My pinky reaches here. I grab it, boom, and then I slide over. And then I grab these two. These two are already in the position that I need them in. Middle index on the bottom, and then middle on top of that, right? It's not like they're like this, right? They're not in this position over here. They're in the correct positioning for G, right? So C, right? Boom, boom, slide a little bit, right? And then G, right? And then notice that I'm not really moving my wrist. That's also because I'm holding it a little close to the camera, so I'm a little more relaxed. But over here, it'd be more like this. Right, I would actually kind of pull this way, because again, if you pull in, you tend to block those middle two strings. So again, adjust, slow and steady, and then practice going back to it too, right? Step at a time. So right there I did index back, middle, ring, and then pinky. Do it slow, really, really slow as you need to do it, okay? And the the reason I say to do it backwards too, because you never know. You might need a song that does it in the other way, or G to C. Or you might learn a song that needs it the other way, right? And that's it. That's it. I mean, there's no trick to it. You just got to find some time to practice that. Do it slow, and then eventually your fingers will start to memorize the movements, and then eventually you'll be able to go. And that's it. Real simple.